So we're going to welcome Kimberly in today. Ah, yes.
Hi.
Hello. Oh, it's so exciting to get to see you this time.
Yes, you can actually see me and hear me this time, right?
Oh my God, yes, it's working exactly correctly this time. It's magic.
Your background is so
Welcome.
colorful.
Oh, it's wild. It's my David Bowie background. Yes, it's so there's a lot of color in this apartment right now. Where are
Love
you
it.
at, Kimberly?
I'm back home now. I'm in Los Angeles.
Great. Yes, and I am up in Harlem in my home as well. So I'm in New York right now. So are you ready to get started on a conversation about music and about bounce and about a whole bunch of stuff?
Yeah, I'm so ready.
Delightful, delightful. All right, so one of the questions, the first thing that people asked was about our personal lives, really. It's like, how has music influenced your personal and your professional life?
Music is something I studied since I was a kid. Actually used to perform in church. I didn't want to because I still have very terrible stage fright. But for some reason, I kept getting selected to sing in church by myself from like the age of 6. And then it just progressed from church to school to auditioning for special choirs, and then kind of just always I'm always singing. I don't necessarily sing for other people to hear because I'm terrified of people hearing it, but always
I
singing.
feel like there should be a whole new string of Instagram lives for you with you just singing now.
No, oh God, no. So scared. I'm so scared. But yeah, so personally, it's always kind of been in my life that way. And then professionally, sometimes singing or just music in general helps when you need to get inside the head of a character or you need to get into a certain mood. Or even when I do photo shoots, I will have certain types of music playing depending on what I'm shooting.
Well, that's cool. My personal life was kind of similar to yours in that, like, I started making music in church, but then I didn't really have like a typical church kind of voice. So I started playing the piano, and then I started taking classical lessons, and I kind of backdoored my way in. I eventually, like, right after high school, I worked for a while as a church musician, which was really wild. Like, to get to like direct a choir, and it was the first time I got to conduct. I think it all was dealing with like a church choir before I ever started working in musical theater and in operas like I am now.
Wow.
So
Conducting. What is that like? I always wondered about that.
it's really strange, the notion that like a little motion of your hand is supposed to control that many people.
Right.
It's different. Like, I play the piano when I'm like leading a band from the piano. Like, I feel like, because it's not so much what I'm doing physically as what they're hearing that's leading it, but it's a weird thing to be like, oh, my hand is in charge of all these people. And they're
Yeah.
just going to do something because I make this weird gesture.
Yeah.
I love doing it though.
Yeah. You're in control of everything. You're almost in that moment. You're almost like creator and composer, and anything you say goes. Yeah, I love that. I know being in a choir and watching the director, it's strange emotion because it's like, especially when you're singing in different sections, you have your sopranos or altos, baritones, etc. Eventually the director has to pay attention to other sections to get certain things out of the section, and it's like, I always used to feel like a little bit, I don't know, like not neglected, but I would hate when he would turn to another section to do whatever that he needed to do, because I'm like, no, look at me, tell me what to do.
But I mean, you're an actress as well, so like you're used to that. With like a director, obviously can't spend all the time just with you when you're
Right.
working on scene stuff.
Yes. Well, this is selfish 17-year-old Kim. But yeah, I know better.
There's also a lot more people in a choir than normally in a scene.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
you're
true.
likely to get a lot more focused time in a scene.
Yes, I definitely appreciated those 101. We used to do like vocal training twice a week, so I would have like 101 sessions with him. So that always helped, but kind of, yes, didn't helped, but I would get in a lot of trouble because I was always assigned like music sheet reading, and to this day I still do not know how to read a note. I cannot decipher anything on paper. I can hear it and do it, but I cannot read it, and I would get in trouble every week for not accomplishing that.
Oh, it's a more acquirable skill than you would guess, but
It's
that's
like a completely
it's
different
not,
language.
obviously it has not held you back. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So
And
the
music has.
yeah. So the next question was, what are some of your favorite musical styles?
Musical styles. I would say number one is definitely, I don't know if it's a style, but it's this musical theater. Is that a style?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be a style. Why not?
So I mean, I love any sort of storytelling, and when storytelling and music come together, that's just like the epitome of oof, chills, for me. And then musical styles, I guess it's like genres, right? Like music
Yeah.
genres.
Yeah,
Um,
music genres.
I don't know. I just love everything. I love like folky stuff. I love pop. I love hip hop, R&B. Just even some like weird fringy kind of stuff. I'm all over the place. It's so hard for me to ever be like, this is the type of music that I like, because I kind of just go with the flow, and depending on what it is, I'm always open.
No, that's cool. Like, I mean, part of how it is that, you express your personalities by the stuff that you listen to. And like, I mean, I grew up in Indiana, so I grew up listening to like church music, but also like country music because it was what was on the radio there.
Yeah.
And my first concert ever was a country music concert. But then, I love hip hop and I love musical theater music. I love jazz. I love 20th century opera. Like I love like kind
Oh,
of strange, kind of out there stuff like that. Like that stuff really excites me. It's always I like music that's rhythmically interesting. And a lot of the stuff that I'm interested in has cool rhythms underneath it. That's one of the things that I really find that I was like, I don't spend a lot of time listening to ballads or like slow, depressing music. It's not really my scene.
really? I don't know. Sometimes slow, depressing music hits the spot, especially if you're feeling kind of sad. It's nice to hear it and get it out, or hear someone else sing the way you feel. Um, yeah, I don't know, but the opera thing, that's amazing. That I was not expecting that. The funny thing is, I don't listen to a lot of opera, but I've always secretly wished that I could sing like that. I don't know, like I could just belt out something like that. That would just be amazing. In the
Like
shower,
when I
though.
was in college, I got exposed to this weird short opera that Leonard Bernstein wrote called Trouble in Tahiti. And it's about like this housewife that's dissatisfied with her husband. And like the opera is just the two of them singing with like a jazz trio of singers like scatting underneath it. It's really weird. And like I really fell in love with it. And after that, I started like exploring like 20th century music. And I was like, oh, this stuff, it's so weird that like, it was like, it just really spoke to me in a weird way.
I love that. I love when people have unexpected tastes in things. It just shows you that you cannot judge a book by its cover. Everybody is so much deeper than we think that they are. I love
Yeah.
that.
I think people are stranger than we think they are. That's what it is.
That too. That too. But I feel like at some point they show us how strange they really are. But yeah, I agree.
So then this is kind of pivoting to like some of the things that bounces about in the world of it. This is a question about our various industries that we work in. It's how have opportunities for minorities in your industry transformed your art form? Which is like an interesting question to think about. Like, what is it that where are the opportunities for people that are people of color within your industries? Also,
Well, I'm sorry. I'm actually a little stumped on that one. So wait, you mean how has like being a person of color related to my industry, or I'm confused on that question actually.
that's where I would start with that. Yeah, let's start
Um,
there.
well, I mean, it's interesting because I think that going forward in the future it will be different, but from let's say today back, um, it has sort of like locked you into a box as to like what you can play or who you can be or what roles you can try out for. Sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I sit and fantasize what it might be like to be someone who does not look like me and just know that the possibilities are endless. You could be anyone. But being a person of color, you do know automatically the second you put your foot in the door, that your opportunities are limited just because of your skin there. Then you've got the limitations based on your age, and you got limitations based on, your skill set, and it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So I would say it's affected me that way. But at the same time, you could get the opposite of that, where you know, the productions that are a little bit more progressive and a little bit more diverse, you know, they're specifically casting for someone of you know, that looks like you, or you know, someone of your background. So it really, it's, you know, it's really, it's so hard. It's so hard to really like pigeonhole exactly what, you know, me being this color has meant this, me being this color has meant that, because it's really in flux right now. And even I would say it's even has been in flux since I came to LA 6 years ago. I definitely think that if you came to LA like a decade ago before then, you were really, really stuck. But it started to flux a little bit when I got here, and now it's in transition even more. Um, but it definitely had originally stunted my aspirations as to like what I could hope to achieve, or who I could hope to play.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I started my career as a performer, and so like because there are specific roles that have to be kind of played by people of color, like there was an entryway for me, and so that was useful. But then you know, there's only so many of those roles, and so you know, like you know, I did hair and I did Ain't Misbehaving, and I did like the places where like black people easily fit in, but then you know I wasn't. That is not what every play is auditioning for. And when I switched to being a musical director, those shows were also my entry point into being a musical director. That like, you know, I get offered a Porgy and Bess, and I get offered Hair. I did the national tour of Hair. I get offered, you know, Ain't Misbehaving, and I get offered those kinds of things. But and that's been great because it was an inflection point. It was a way for me to get a foot in the door. But I'm finding that people are starting slowly, very, very slowly, but they're starting to like make space for black people and people of color where it not the most obvious spot.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, like this is not the first time I've worked on an opera, but it's certainly the first time I've worked on one in Manhattan. And it's the first time that like I got to do a piece of this scope that's an opera instead of a musical theater piece. The opera world is it's not a lot of people of color in the world of opera. And you know, one of the cool things about Bounce is that it's about people like the real world. Like the stage looks like the real world. There's lots of people of color on that stage. You know, men, women, black people, whatever. Like there's a lot of mixture of people in it. And one of the things that I did when I came on the project, I was like, I really want the band to look like the cast. I want the whole world of the show to be like, you know, because a lot of times there's a show about people of color and it's just the people on the cast.
Yeah.
You know, like we've had people that are like our basketball coach for this show and the choreographer are people of color, and like there's been all these people of color involved in creating this piece, and some of the writers, and like, you know, it's been a real joy to be involved in a project that centers people of color, and that uses them in like kind of a 360 kind of way.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
I don't think this kind of piece would have existed 10 years ago.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it would not. And anything like this, or even something like, you know, Hamilton, like I feel like all these things are happening exactly when they should happen. And although to those of us who have been waiting for it, it feels like it's kind of late. We're waiting for forever for it to happen. But yeah, they would not have happened, you know, a decade ago. And it's amazing to see it happening now. And every time I see something like exactly like what you're working on, and I know it's not just inspiring, but it's just like it gives me hope. You know, it's like it's almost like tangible physical change that you can see. You know, everyone always says that change is coming and things are happening, or things are happening behind the scenes, and you kind of just have to go on faith that they are. And to actually see it in something like a basketball opera, it's just like, even though those two words don't even make sense, like how do they even go together? Basketball and opera, you would not think to put those two things together, but that's almost exactly what it is. It's just not just the basketball and the opera, it's the people of color performing something that you would normally not see them doing. It's just it's a great comparison, and it's so astounding just to see it happening now. It makes me so happy.
Yeah, no, like with Bounce, we often work with high school students as the part of the chorus in the piece, and it's been so cool to see high school students get a chance to be in an opera, first of all. Like, and like people of like young people of color, they were like, oh, I never thought, you know, we work with like Bronx High School of the Arts. And like, they were like, we never thought that we would be in an opera. I mean, Brooklyn High School of the Arts, but like, they were like, I never thought that I would be in an opera at 17. And oh, look at these people. These are professional actors and professional opera singers and professional musical theater performers and conductors that are people of color, people that look like me, doing things that I never even realized those jobs existed, some of those jobs. I think that like Bounce has been really cool to watch their horizons expand just being involved in the piece.
I love that. I love that. I can't even imagine what the world would be like for me had I been exposed to something like that as a teenager, you know? Because it just, you know, being able to just know that you're capable of more, the world that's willing to accept you, that you're capable of more, changes you on just levels that you can't see, you know? It just opens doors in the mind, and it's just, I love that. I love that so much.
Like, so what are some of the things that you think that where there are places where we could improve things in like in representation of minorities in the industries we work in?
How do we improve it? Honestly, I feel like the Black Lives Matter movement that just happened did a really great job of verbalizing exactly what sort of change was needed and how to change and how important it is. And it's just so simple. It's just like, it's not this like secret formula that we have to come up with on how to fix this problem. It's just very simple. And the simple thing is just be inclusive. You know, that's it. Just be open-minded and inclusive. Don't close yourself off. Don't close your production off. Don't close, you know, the hiring process off to any particular race, not even just Black people, just all people. Just don't close it off. And I think when that happens, when you open those doors and you let all different backgrounds in, there's going to be this amazing flow and exchange of ideas and cultures and just experiences. So it's just, to me, just very simple. It seems like it's common sense and it's just obvious. And I don't know why certain people are walking around like, well, it's not that easy and we don't really know what to do. It's not something that can be fixed overnight. No, it can't be fixed overnight, but it definitely starts with just seeing, you know, the obvious, which is just be inclusive. Don't be closed off. Just open things up.
Yeah. And one of the things that I think that Black Lives Matter movement has really helped with is that we always said like, oh, you need to hire people of color. But like beyond that, you have to listen to people of color, because like a lot of times people make assumptions about what it is that you need or what you want. And this is a chance where like people of color said very specifically, this is what we need, this is what we want, as opposed to letting other people's assumptions guide those things. Because, you know, like you can hire 2 or 3 people to make your picture look more like the world, but those people don't necessarily have any power to affect change. But like if you ask people what it is they need and hire the people, you can put people in a place where they can grow and succeed, and they can move up the ladder in these places. Theater, you know, it's great to have people of color on the stage, but where it's really essential are like producers and directors and conductors, and you know, those are the people that hire, and those are the people that shape the world of the theater to come.
I agree.
So, you know, like that's one of those things I'm like, oh, we got to have those people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you said, not just hiring them, give them a voice. Yeah. The exchange of ideas is it's so important. It's not, to me, it's not hard. It's not, like I said, it's not a secret formula. It's so simple. You know, just it's super simple. I'm not sure how we've gotten to where we are, but just listen, just be open-hearted, open-minded. That's it.
No, I think that is totally it. Like so, and I think that's one of the things that one of the messages within Bounce is about, like actually being present and listening and being able to grow from what you learn, from what you hear from other people. So like that's it's one of the lessons that I am trying to apply from the work I do in Bounce also in my life. Well, Kimberly, I really appreciate you doing this conversation with me today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And people, please check her out on Instagram, Kimberly Cheri. She's spectacular. Your Instagram is super cool, super cool. And also, of course, please check out Bounce, the basketball opera online. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook.